Go camping, they said. Go fishing, they said. It's all fun. Well, guys, it is fun. But the biggest problem is we all forget the small part of our camping adventures and all of our travels. Guys, we have to maintenance stuff. And unfortunately, man, sometimes breakage happens. Now, when I say breakage, I'm talking about failures on your tow rig, failures on your camper, and guys, that has happened to us. Now, last month, you see, we were down in Edisto Island having a great time, and on our tow back, my truck decided to blow the rear end out. Well, I shouldn't say the whole rear end. The differential cover decided that it was going to check out and take its own vacation, and created an issue with a leak. Now, when I found it out, is because we stopped and got gas, and all I could smell was rear gear oil. Now, if you're a car guy, truck guy, any kind of gearhead, you know that distinct smell, and it smells terrible. Well, upon discovery, I got up underneath it and saw that the rear differential was leaking, and, you know, I did a little bit of research. I found out that is common on these F250s. So, we've got a solution. Now, the solution that we have come up with is we are going to put on this Gale Banks rear end differential cover. And just to show you guys that we are getting everything unboxed here. So, this rear differential cover, as you can see, is massive. Now guys, this thing is for the Sterling. I think this is a 10.25 to 10.50. Rear ends on the F250s. Now it has these cooling ribs. Now the complete reason the failure happened was overheating of the rear end. The camper is only 5,000 and some pounds heavy when fully loaded. It's not a monster. But because the only time I drive my truck is to tow, we put a lot of wear and tear on it. So what we are going to do is upgrade this into a whole new outfit. And as you can see, this thing is really well built. So inside we got all these cooling fins. This allows air to get trapped inside of these bottom pieces here. Draws air up, runs along the ribs, and helps cool the oil off. So in hopes that this will keep the rear end while in tow cooler, it should perform a lot better. Now, it ain't a race truck, it literally just tows, so we're going to get up underneath the truck and start the disassembly on this bad boy here in a second. But first, I have got to get all my tools out. Now, I keep an array of tools in the truck at all times. If we're towing and we break down, I can fix on the side of the road. Thankfully, growing up, I was always a gearhead. Love to learn how to work on things, and I don't take anything to a shop if I can avoid it at all possibility. I'm not the one, I don't trust people. It's happened over the years where I take a car in and, you know, have some issues worse than what I started with. So I tend to do my own maintenance. And guys, you could do this too, because if you look right now, I am in my driveway. Pine needles, leaves. It's rained on and off all week, and it is really cold here in South Carolina. I'm not above doing it in my driveway on my back. Now, my back's going to hate me here in a little bit, but it can be done at home. Do not be afraid to go and do your own maintenance. Now, for rear gear oil, we are using this Amsoil Severe Gear Synthetic 75 weight 140. This was recommended through Banks, so we've got 4 of these bad mama jammas in here. And that's what's going in. So let's jump down, let's get started. Oh. Don't have a creeper? No worries. I kept the top of the box that I cut out for the electric bikes to ride. It makes for a nice little piece to keep from getting right on this nasty ground. Oh boy, I'm telling you, it stinks under here. Gosh, I can smell the grease oil. Check this out. Now, unfortunately, the lighting is not that great, but you can see all the gunk that has been blowing up on here. Now, here is where the leak's coming from, right off of this differential cover. And I'm sorry, it's dark. I should have brought the light, and it's overcast. There's no sun. But yeah, we need to get up underneath here, start draining this immediately. All right. First things first, we need to knock the drain bolt loose here and start getting this stuff out of here. Oh. All right, enough manual power. This is why I buy electric tools. All right, Milwaukee for the win. Surprisingly enough, that's supposed to start draining oil, guys, and that's not happening. So I'm hoping this thing is not that bare boned. That scares me. All right, I'm not gonna bore y'all with this. I'm gonna knock them all out real quick. All right, y'all, we got all of the bolts undone, and now I gotta get this rear end cover broke loose, but my plastic piece here, I don't know is gonna be enough. I might have to go get a secondary metal tool to try to pop this off, because I cannot get it up in there. I really don't wanna mar up the metal on this side of the rear end, because that can cause a leak. So let me go see if I can find something real quick. All right, so guess what, guys? I found my putty knife for doing housework, and that's what it called for. So I'm gonna try to slide that in there, and I brought my old trusty soft blow hammer, and as you can see, this thing has caught a lot of blows over the years. If you watch my upgrading your beach cart, this was the one I used to beat the axles in, and that's why it looks so bad, and then had to switch it up to the 3-pound, and that was the biggest issue, was trying to get the axles driven in. So let's see if we can get this in here. Oh man. Oh man, I tell you what, this is not an easy task here. I can see why they put it on a lift, to get some leverage, which I have none right now because I'm on the ground under the truck. All right, well, I'm not gonna bore y'all with this either, because this could take a minute. All it took was a little bit of persuasion from the old hammer here. Cut through that gasket. A few pop in there, which is a good sign. Oh lordy. Oh, see the first drips coming out there. All right. I ran out of space to cut there. I need to come back. And guys, it's cold out, so everything is real tight. Knee. I didn't need it no way. Knees are for losers. There we go. That popped her loose. There we go. Get all that gear oil pouring out now. And surprisingly, it's pretty clear. I just hate the gasket failed. Ain't no good angles up underneath here when you're this big. Alright. And rear end gear diff is off. Cover, that is. Alright. Let's see here. Hopefully there ain't no big damage or anything going on here. I don't see anything that's screaming holy crap, which is a good thing. Alright. Now, next step here is we've got to clean this entire surface area. All right, so I've got this gasket scraper here from Astro. It's a tungsten carbide gasket scraper. Now, when you're scraping these, you do, like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to gouge any of this metal, because the new rear end cover doesn't use gasket sealer. It uses an actual O-ring gasket, and we want to take as much caution and scraping this and cleaning it. So this was the recommended tool for scraping it. And as you can see here, it's got a tungsten carbide tip on it, so it's supposed to keep from gouging it. So let's see. I've never used one of these before, so I don't really know. As you can see here, there's chunks of old gasket coming off, so that tells you it probably have multiple failure points in this rear end, unfortunately. I'm gonna do it that Scotch-Brite. Right. I'm just gonna hit a few corners here just to make sure it's cleaning up good. Like I say, guys, we gotta really take our time to get this rear end prepped, because I don't want to do this again for the duration of the ownership of this truck is what I'm hoping for. All right, well, we've got it all cleaned up. Used the scraper in places that were gunked up, and then used the Scotch-Brite to give it a nice little last minute detail. So now, the fun part. We get to install this bad mamma jamma here. So first and foremost, before I do anything, let's not have it upside down. And I'm gonna do a quick test fit to make sure everything here fits. Hope like crap I didn't order the wrong one. From the looks of it, I think we're good. So drop that back down for a second. Now, instructions here call for the new bolts and some Loctite. So I'm gonna start a top one here. Oh man. But a minute says I had to use some Loctite on anything. And guys, a little bit goes a long way on these. So all you gotta do is just put a little bit on the threads. And all this is doing is securing the rear end so it doesn't ever come loose. I gotta pull it towards me so I can see, because I'm currently wedged up against the tire here. Damn, got up underneath here and moved. Now I can't get to my wrench. All right. I can let that sit right there for a second. Please just don't fall. That's all I ask. All right. Guys, if I can swing the camera out, you'd see the most contortionist my body's been in years. Oh, I'm trying to get up underneath this thing. Whew. All right. Loctite on there. All right, that's a little bit of work, but guys, she's in. We've got it torqued down, well, elbow torque, but yeah, that wasn't too terribly bad. I had to loosen it all up. I had one bolt that wouldn't go through, and the reason was it was off just a millimeter to where the head of the bolt would not go in, so I had to loosen it all up, shift it just a little bit, and then it went right in. So now here comes the fun part. Now, back in the day when we used to work on Mustangs, anytime we did a rear end gear swap or just working on a period, squeezing the bottle to get all the gear oil back in. Well, those days are long gone, and I'm gonna tell you what, the Amsel pouches, this fill hole is right up here. These, all you gotta do is squeeze it, and because they're bags, it's easier to squeeze, and we can get those in there. So, but first, before we do that, we've got to put a few more things into the rear end here. So I need to put the sight glass in. All right, I think that got it started. All right, now this here is just hand tightened because it does have an O-ring on the back of it that keeps it from leaking. All right, well, there we go. All right. Now here's a cool spot, or cool thing here. It's got a magnet on the end of it. That way, if we go to change this later on, it'll catch any metal shavings. All right. See if I can grab the right one. Nope. Let's see one here. All right, there we go. Now this one was a bit of an oddball. It was too small for a 12, too big for a 13.5 inch. Still is loose on this, so I don't know if that's just a manufacturing defect, but it's really strange how it didn't fit tight like the rest of these did. All right. Next step, fill her up. So we're gonna see if this has to have a seal cut, which it does. Well, actually it's a pull top, which is cool. If I had grip strength to rip it off. There we go. All right. Put a screw on. Pop off. Oh, it popped off. Okay, trying to knock myself out. Do I need to cut the end of this tip? They're coming out. Oh Lord, guys. I didn't realize the tips on these weren't cut. So you're squeezing like crazy and nothing's coming out. Whoops. All right, I gotta get a cutter. Oh boy. Take the tip off. And then cut it out. Find the hole. All right, now it's a lot easier, that's for sure. It's still just hell having to hold your hand up and still squeeze, but a bag is so much more convenient than a bottle. Dropping grease and everything else on my face. All right, first bag down, guys. Not too bad, not too bad. Whew. Just wish I wasn't laying on my back on the side here. Hey, that's the name of the game. Now I'm just simply rolling the bag as we get down, trying to make sure all this grease is going into the rear end. And you'll know you're towards the end when you hear, oh, that sounds like your butt's exploding. Alright. Bag number 2 is done. Boy, ain't nothing like hearing those noises. Alright. Third bag done. Oh. Alright. I'm gonna stop right there. That's about half a bag there, so. Just from the looks of seeing that sight glass being that full, I'm not going to go any further with it because I'm pretty sure we're level and that thing is really cranked out. So, all right, let's put all right, guys. Well, that's it. She is done and installed. As you can see right there in the sight glass, we got it full of Earl. Now it's time to clean up the rest of our mess here. But not before we go into our next one. Now we got to check the camper. All right, now we got the truck finished. We're gonna clean up our tools. It's one thing, guys, if you want stuff that you spend big money on to last, take care of them, clean them up. Because I'm telling you, ain't nothing worse than buying stuff over and over and over and over again. If you just take care of them, you only buy it once normally. Whew. Like my paint putty thing here. I need to make sure that's definitely cleaned up because we have done some stuff in the house and I gotta patch up some holes. All right, get myself resituated here. I have got stuff all over me. Whew, it's chilly. It is still chilly, guys. Alrighty, now tools are done. Now the next thing is our camper. Normal we camp all year round. This is going to be the first year we are not. I'm actually going to winterize it this year. The problem we've had in years past is every time we camp between December, January, February, and sometimes early March, when there's freezing weather, we have our water running and lines bust. The first 3 years we've had this camper, every year I've had lines bust. And it's not the lines itself, it's actually the joints and the couplers, the elbows, they're all made of plastic. All the stuff in here is PEX. So the line itself holds up under pressure. It's just when water freezes, it expands. Well, the expansion into the line can be okay, but sometimes it's not, because when it gets into the joints, those things crack and then water flows out when it starts melting and we have a flooding problem. Almost everything in here, minus a few things, have been replaced with brass fittings, and I still want to make sure when I get the truck out of the way, we go check everything. So we are going to winterize it. I'm going to get our fluid that pours in, and we're going to winterize the camper. All right, next step. Guys, I'm gonna let the truck sit here on the corner. I'm gonna make sure there ain't no leaks before we take off this afternoon to go to a birthday party. But let's get in the camper. All right, first thing we're gonna do is check the low fill points. So up underneath the camper here, I don't know if y'all can see them, we've got these low fill drains. We're gonna crack those open real quick. And as you can see, there is water in them, which is always a bad sign when we've had a few days of freezing water, or freezing weather. And water's, it's cold, but the thing is, that's what causes lines to bust. Now, it would be completely on me for not doing it on our last trip, blowing these lines out. But we need to go get my air compressor, and we're gonna go blow the lines out first here. So as you can see, I don't know if you can hear it. That is air moving through the lines where water once was. And we need to check our water filter and make sure everything in here is dry. I don't see anything, but we won't know until we actually pressurize the system. So everything that has water run to it, the bathroom, showers, we'll turn everything on, toilet. Sounds like we had some water. I don't see anything leaking in the floor right now, which is great. But let's go get the air compressor. Now I have this tool here that plugs in to our city water, and we're gonna be able to put air into the system. And as you can see, I've had this dripping for about 5 minutes, and there was a lot of water in here. So guys, I'm hoping these last 2 freezes we have have not done me any more damage than I already need. So we're just gonna, actually, before we do that, pop this on. We're just gonna slowly but surely introduce air. Now watch. While that's doing that, let's go check the inside. Now, we're at 100 pounds of pressure in the tank. It's regulated at 100, but I've only got that valve open, not even a quarter of the way, so we don't blow lines apart. We hear air, we hear air. Oh, a little bit of water coming out. Now what we can hear over here is the air blowing in and getting all of the water out of the system. Now I'm just checking again for leaks. All right, looks like air, just small drip. Turn that off. Looks like the water's out of the line here. Toilet, good. So now that we hear nothing but air, we should be good. And what we're going to end up doing is dropping our solution into all this. All right, so what we have here is RV and marine antifreeze. Now, this is going to go into the P-trap of the toilet, P-trap of the 2 sinks, and then we may put some in the pump system to circulate around, because if there is any residual water left, it will freeze, but if this has it in there, it will turn into a slush versus a hard chunk of ice. So we're gonna go in here and get this put in. Alrighty, let's pour some of this down the traps. Just to be on the safe side. We'll put some in the bathtub. All right. Now those are the main areas that I'm worried about. The toilet, I'm not too worried about. The reason being, it goes straight into the black tank, and for the last few days I've had the tank heaters on. That way I didn't have to worry about the actual the holding tanks blowing stuff out. So let's make sure we got paint stuff coming out here. Don't look like we do. Looks like it's still water being pushed. Man, that's crazy. There was still this much water in the system. And guys, this right here is what blows water, or blows lines. I think that's mainly coming from one. There's that one. What is this one doing? Does it have water coming out too? Yeah. I guess we're just gonna let this sit here. Yeah, it just smells like water. I don't think that's the antifreeze, because we would see pink coming out if it was. Whew, man. As much as I don't want to, I might need to go turn the pump on. Let's see if that pump will help any. All right, guys. Well, if you haven't noticed, this is going to be our last video of the year in the camper. With us doing that, we're going to have to change some things up. I haven't planned on doing any more camping probably until March of next year, so the videos may be more sporadic and may not be camper videos and fishing videos, because as it gets colder here in South Carolina, the fishing starts to just tank, and I don't really feel like wasting my time on the lakes or beach when there ain't no bites. So we're gonna figure out something else. And we're thinking about some new style videos, maybe some backpack camping in the woods, going to a creek somewhere. I don't know, trying to find some new fun things to do with you guys. So comment down below what y'all might want to see. I'm thinking about doing some outdoor boy styles, or something of, you know, some roughing it nature, getting back to my old roots. The boat's parked, which it is up for sale. Unfortunately, guys, I would much rather do more stuff at the ocean, since we do a lot of saltwater fishing, and that boat's more set up for fresh water. If I could find a center console that has all the saltwater needs that would get us out there, I would much rather have that. But I have really enjoyed having this boat, and being my first one and learning on it has taught me a lot, but more to come in the future for that. Well, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna finish putting up the camper, but we appreciate you all being here. Be sure to hit subscribe, follow along for all of our other crazy stuff, and be sure to check right here at our other videos that you might like, some of our camping stuff and some of our DIYs, because this is part of them. Do it yourself. So guys, we appreciate you, and we'll catch you in the next adventure.